Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Juji. This is HD by Z. If you're new here, this is a space for anyone who's looking to explore human design, both through relationships, personal development. Sometimes I throw a little history in there as well. I'm so excited you're here because today I'm going to be talking about a historic relationship, a love triangle, in fact. And this is a story that has captured so many people. There's been so many books, movies, shows, documentaries, you name it, created about JFK, Jackie O, and of course, Marilyn Monroe. But before we get into all of that, I have an exciting new announcement to make. I have a new feature on my website. The link will be in the show notes below. There you can go and make your own relationship chart. If you click the link and select Get Chart at the top of the page, you can see you can get an individual chart or a relationship chart. Both pages have the instructions at the top. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at HD by Z. If you DM me there, I'd love to chat with you. A lot of people have been recommending couples that they want me to do there. So it's a great place to get connected. All right, so what happened between JFK, Jackie O, and Marilyn Monroe? I thought this was going to be easy, just like Charles, Diana, and Camilla. I could wrap it up in a bow, but what I found was actually a lot more complicated than that. So let's take a look at their charts and see what's going on underneath the surface. All right, so this is JFK. He is a projector. He has emotional authority, meaning solar plexus definition. He is single definition, just one channel here. And he has a 3-5 profile on the right angle cross of planning. So obviously, I think every chart is interesting, but what I find so interesting about this is that this one channel is all about community. It's all about the bargain. It's in the cross of planning. So this is all about organization. You know, his family had a business, then they went into politics. And a lot of what we saw play out had everything to do with power and hierarchy. And it is really what the cross of planning is all about. I also just want to say that, you know, Marilyn wasn't the only person that JFK was said to have had a dalliance with. So this isn't just about love, it's also about sex. And I heard somebody say the other day that everything is about sex except for sex, which is about power. So I think it's a little bit of both in this case. One of the things that I want to point out about projectors is that they have an open sacral center. And the sacral is associated with our sexuality. It's associated with the way that we reproduce and create new life. If you have an open sacral, then that is something that really interests you, let's just say. We can say, you know, boys will be boys, and that's what we chalk it up to, men and their sexual appetite. But it's a little different in this case, because anywhere that you're open in the chart is where you're trying to compensate. It's where you're filtering the world. So it becomes a place of focus for you. And so for him, sexuality is a primary focus. That's all there is to it. So this is Jacqueline Kennedy. She's a manifesting generator, sacral authority. There's that sacral. Split definition, a 4-6 profile on the right angle cross of the unexpected. Well, yes, her life did take a lot of unexpected twists and turns, that's for sure. So obviously the attraction was twofold, right? It was a really good political move for them to get together. She came from a very prominent family from Long Island, and it was a strategic move. They were introduced by his father, I believe, and it was pretty much a done deal after that. So there was something very transactional about this relationship. I'm sure that he was really attracted to her. I mean, she's gorgeous. She has great style. She's an elegant woman. She was significantly younger than him. And she, of course, has sacral definition. And this is where things get kind of interesting, because I remember talking about the transactional nature of Charles and Diana and how those two really didn't have a connection together. They had nothing in common. And so it wasn't so surprising to me that Charles would step out of the relationship, but that's not the case here. So let's take a look at Jackie and JFK together. So the two of them together are single definition. They have 8 centers defined and 1 open. And this might have been kind of a sticking point, the fact that they both feel kind of lost with this open G and that there's no connection there. But they do have 4 electromagnetic connections, which is pretty strong. Although I will say one of them is the channel of struggle. Boy, did they struggle together. Then they have 2 electromagnetics, the channel of curiosity and the channel of abstraction in the head and the ajna, which is much more of an intellectual connection, like I'm sure they had plenty to talk about in their relationship. And then they do have this emotional connection, which as an emotional being for JFK may not have been that big of a deal, but since she is open emotional, she must have been very emotionally devoted to him. And I'm sure that it was very painful for her to watch what played out, especially on this enormously public stage where pretty much everybody knew what was happening. So let's take a look at Marilyn now. All right, so this is Marilyn. She is also a projector, so type for type. She is also emotional authority, so authority for authority. She's split definition, a 6-2 profile on the left angle cross of identification. And the 6th line and the 3rd line have a much more cohesive relationship together. They are both very used to this trial and error process. And although Jackie O is a 4-6, she may not have had conscious access to her trial and error way of being. And, you know, there's something to be said about 2 projectors inviting and recognizing each other. You know, that's the thing that most projectors are so heartbroken about, especially when it comes to their romantic relationships, is that they never fully feel seen, heard, or appreciated by their partners, because generators don't understand the level of care and the level of attention that it takes to really properly have a projector feel recognized and invited into a relationship. So when 2 projectors get together, there is a potential that there is a proper recognition there. And of course, Marilyn probably loved the idea and the attention of the most powerful man on earth. I mean, how can you say no to that? Not to mention their connection together. So let's take a look at that. All right, so this is JFK and Marilyn Monroe. They are 9-0, nowhere to go, very connected. All 9 centers are defined, and they have 5 electromagnetic connections, 1 specifically to the G center. So even though I wouldn't say that the connection between JFK and Jackie was wrong or bad in any way, the way that I see these connections is that it is a lot more attractive. For one, they have a connection to the spleen, which always feels really good for people who have an open spleen. They have this connection to the identity center, like I mentioned, and they still have plenty to talk about through their connections through the ajna and the head. And then, of course, they also have an emotional connection, which is all about desire, all about trying new things, having new experiences. This proves to me that it's not just about the amount of electromagnetic connections that 2 people have, but where the connections actually are in the chart. So what else is there to say about all of this? This is an iconic story. I mean, people have been trying to unravel everything that happened between these 3 people for a very long time. Both of these women are style icons. I mean, hello, you know, Kim Kardashian just wore the Marilyn dress to the Met Gala that she wore when she sang Happy Birthday to JFK. And people see it as this super steamy story. But something that I want to say about Marilyn Monroe specifically is that I've watched documentaries about her. I somehow managed to sit through that Netflix movie Blonde not long ago. And the thing that always stuck out for me about her is that she saw Marilyn Monroe, because her name is really Norma Jean, she saw Marilyn Monroe as this character that she played. And she didn't really identify with this character at all. In fact, it started to kind of take over her life. And what I said earlier about recognition and projectors is really true. But projectors aren't here to just be recognized for anything. She was recognized for being beautiful and sexy, but she was never recognized for being smart and savvy and worldly and well-read. And she also wasn't really recognized for what she wanted to do, which was be a serious actress. She was constantly being typecast as this bimbo. And even though it made her an icon and even though it made her famous, she started to realize that it wasn't the kind of recognition that she wanted. And it wouldn't be hard to step in and be the person who says, yeah, you know what? I do recognize you for your brains. I do recognize you for your talent. I mean, this is true for anybody. If you are starved for being seen and somebody says that they see you, and especially if they have intellectual connections to you in your chart, that's probably something that feels like you don't ever want to let go of it. Because once somebody feels seen and heard, it's game over, right? And JFK, who is also a projector, was potentially also looking for recognition that he wasn't getting from the outside world. Like I said, he may not have even felt like Jackie was fully committed to him because it was a transaction that she agreed to. I mean, she probably didn't have much of a choice in the matter. There was a lot of willing and dealing going on between these two families. So, to feel like somebody chose him instead of being forced upon him was probably also very, very attractive to him. And even though we're talking about this through the human design lens, I think that this is just human nature. Everybody wants to feel chosen. Everybody wants to feel special. Everyone wants to be seen for who they really are and appreciated for it. So there's nothing that mysterious going on below the surface here. It's really pretty obvious. It's only, our conspiracy theories about the CIA and all of that stuff that wants to make this more juicy and gossipy than it actually was. All right, guys, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap it up. We covered a lot. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them below or nominate another couple for me to do an analysis for. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so that you can get notified every time I drop one of these. And again, all of my information will be in the show notes if you'd like to work with me. Thank you for watching. Ciao for now.